Hi, my relatives. On today's episode of Our Storytellers, we're joined by my good friend, Faith Trottier. On Faith's mother's side, they're Métis from Saskatchewan, Alberta. The family names are Trottier, Lemire, and Laframboises. And on her father's side, their family names are Laframboises, Delorme, and Bellerose. So, it was great to sit and chat with Faith. And actually, Faith taught me how to bead on this week's podcast, which was such a privilege and such an honor. And she was so kind and gave me my own first starter beader kit, which is just amazing. So we talk a lot about family stories in this one, a lot about being Métis and what that means. And Faith's story is very inspiring. So I would definitely recommend to sit and listen to the whole podcast if you possibly can. And I think without further ado, we'll just jump into it.
Hello, my relatives. How are you? Here at Our Storytellers, we care about your spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical well-being, which is why we want to inform you that this podcast discusses topics that may cause trauma to listeners and viewers. These subjects include mentions of Indian residential schools, assimilation, ongoing harm, colonial impacts, and much more. Our Storytellers recognizes the need to minimize the risks associated with traumatic subject matter. The Hope for Wellness helpline offers immediate help to all Indigenous people across Canada. It is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to offer immediate support and crisis intervention. Services are available in English and French and in Nehiyaw, Anishinaabe and Inuktitut upon request. If you or someone you know are experiencing any harm, no matter how big or small it's perceived to be, you can call the toll-free helpline at 1-855-242-3310 or connect to the online chat at www.hopeforwellness.ca. Kinanaskuman, I'm grateful for you. Your ancestors are always with you. All my relations, Riel.
One time, the last podcast, 2 podcasts ago, we recorded everything in slow motion.
Oh.
Jimbo had to
intentionally.
No, unintentionally recorded we didn't even know these cameras could record in slow motion. So then we go back to review the footage, and it was the first time we've ever had 2 guests on the podcast, and they were like, and I was like, I'm not even gonna freak out. It's just there's gotta be a way, and we figured it out, so it was all good.
No,
but
that's really good. Yeah, that would have been so scary.
Honestly, when you're an amateur podcaster, the best way to deal with things is just to never freak out and just know that you're gonna screw it up all the time.
I like that. Yeah.
Faith, my name's Riel. I'm from my family's from Red River, Manitoba. I was born and raised out here. I'm going to pass over this protocol for you. I have a blanket and some tobacco. I just want to open up the relationship and just invite you to be one of my friends and, open up the dialogue between your family and my family. And I'll pass this over and just ask yourself to please introduce yourself in your own way, however you feel comfortable.
Of course. Thank you so much for this. It's awesome. Tanchi Kiao, Sawami Kokoni Dishnakashin, Michif Nia, Ron Prairie P. Kinuso Dostin, Kiamaka. Hi, I'm Faith. I'm Michif on both sides of my family. On my mother's, we're Saskatchewan Métis from the Round Prairie Métis settlement. And on my father's, we're Lac St. Anne Métis, and my grandma's from Kinuso. And nice to meet you and be here and
hang out. Sick. Yeah. That's awesome. And what are we doing today? Look what we got in front of us right here.
We're doing some beading.
Faith also brought me these amazing stickers that are available on our website, which is going to go on the back of our door, which maybe we'll post it on our Instagram too. But the top sticker says, "Don't panic, eat panic." So we're already off to a good start here.
It's true though.
There's 2 though?
No, it's true though.
It is true though.
Yeah.
How's your panic making skills? Oh, your Michif is unreal, by the way. That was amazing.
Hey. Thank you.
Did you grow up speaking it?
No, I wish, but I've been taking Michif classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where do you take Michif classes?
MMBC offers some Michif classes. I also went to a Michif camp last year. But yeah, it was from Samson. He was the one teaching us both at the camp and then both on an online Zoom class.
Really?
Yeah.
And he was from Samson?
His name is Samson, but he's from Saskatchewan.
Okay, gotcha. I was like, he's from Samson, Alberta. I was like, okay, gotcha. That's awesome. And how long, like what, like, are you just still beginning, like figuring it out kind of thing? Or could you like express yourself if you tried?
I'm still learning,
Yeah.
you know, like I wish I was better, but I'm learning. I'm getting there.
That's not bad, honestly. Like, I wish I knew more. So yeah. Feel free. You can put that on the ground too.
Okay, I was like, I thought I dropped
anything.
the tobacco. I was like, oh, shoot.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, should we get set up here and start going?
Yeah.
Today's episode is called Bitch and Stitch. That's how we're gonna figure it out. So, yeah, what do we do to get set up? Like, what's my first step here?
So here's your bag.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
And I put this together for you. So this is all for you, so you can bead afterwards and have beads for yourself.
You even got me a little pair of scissors?
Yeah.
You're so kind. Thank you so much.
Of course.
This is gonna be fun. How did you get into beading? Like, what's your foundation story?
So I feel like beading is you learn by so many people. But how I first started beading was from my Auntie Alma and my mom. They just sat me down one day, gave me a bunch of beads and was like, here, you're going to learn how to bead today. And yeah, so we just sat down and I didn't really learn any techniques. Like my Auntie Alma just like pulled up and was like, just do it. And then that was how I started.
Really?
Yeah.
Where were you?
This was in Lillooet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like just around the kitchen table, and she was just like,
yeah. We just we're just hanging out. My Auntie Alma, she's my godmother.
Mm-hmm.
She's First Nations from Lillooet, and yeah.
What's the first thing you made?
It was really bad. I made a pin that was like a Métis infinity symbol. I tried making the flag,
Yeah,
but not with our like actual flag colors. Like I used pink and purple. Yeah, I don't know. I think that was all the beads that was there. So yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. That sounds. Do you still have it?
No, I gave it away.
Oh yeah, I forgot
time.
about that. We have to give away the first time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give away what? So we're making a floral today.
Yes.
That's what it's called. It looks like that right now. Okay, what's my first step?
All right, your first step, you want to get some thread.
Okay.
I got you your own thread, but you can also use my big old thread as well.
Okay.
So you want to grab like an arm's length.
An arm's length?
Yeah.
Like that big?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Cut it?
Cut it, yep.
This is so fun. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe that I get to do this. Okay.
Of course. So you want to grab a needle and you want to thread it. So you want it to kind of be threaded like this, and you'll have like a little tail.
Are these all the same needle? These needles look so advanced. I also feel like I should have my glasses on.
You're gonna like, that's part of beading, you know, you like squint and you're like trying to put the thread in.
Okay, yeah, this is the first step. In the meantime, like, tell me about where you grew up. Like, what's your foundation story? What's your creation story?
So I was born in Mission, BC, which is like a small little city. But I moved a lot, so it's really difficult for me to say exactly where I was raised because I lived in a bunch of different cities and towns. I even lived on the res for a little bit when I was a child, and yeah. So, yeah.
So you're born in Mission.
Yeah.
And grew up moving around a little bit. What res did you live on?
Skootinchuk or Skatine. I lived there when I think I was around 5. I lived there for about a year. And then we go back. There's a event called Inchuk's Days. So we'd always go back and whatnot. It's from my grandfather, his brother, my Uncle Clarence. He married my Auntie Agnes, and she's from Skootinchuk, which is why, yeah, I went up there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my mom had, her explanation is that she had a mental health breakdown, and my uncle Henry was like, hey, just come here and relax and get away from the city. And so she just took me, and we went there and lived there for a good year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I am struggling putting this thing through here right now. Can you see, how fast can you do it? Did you already put it on?
Yeah. I kind of cheated though. I put it on before we started.
Okay.
But yeah, so a good trick too.
Yeah.
Is you pinch it.
Oh, you move the needle to the thing, where I'm moving you move the needle to the thread, but I'm moving the thread to the needle. Okay, wait. You pinch it. Boom. I feel like we're going to offer a YouTube video and move the needle to the thread.
You're experiencing the first step of being a beader. The thread struggle.
I already quit.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I can thread it for you.
No. This is all part. People have to see. People have to see the struggle. They have to enjoy the struggle.
That's true. That's true.
So did you? I guess you moved to a bunch of schools too at the same time.
Yeah, I think I've been at 12 different schools.
Really?
Yeah, until I was in grade 12.
What was that experience like?
It was really difficult, always being new and having new friends and saying goodbye all the time. 'Cause you'd always make monumental friendships, and then, yeah, you'd be like, oh, we'll keep in contact, we'll keep in touch. Well, no, we never did. And yeah, so that happened quite frequently growing up. Yeah.
Interesting. And then what was like your favorite subject in school?
Ooh, music.
Music.
Yeah.
And you still play music today?
Yeah, not as much as I did when I was younger, but yeah, I've always loved music. It's always been a big part of my life, and also how I bonded with my dad as well. He was a singer in his prime. He was an old rocker. And yes, I grew up with music around me my whole life. Yeah.
I'm starting to think there's no hole in this needle. You know what I mean?
I can give you another needle. So I have
like a junior needle.
It's
one with a bigger one.
I'll give you. These are just my used ones. You know, as you know, I'm like trying to find them in my little squishy.
I am a very determined person. I feel like I can. You know what? Now that maybe I'm putting the wrong energy into this, complaining about it.
This one is bigger, I think.
Wait.
Oh.
Wait for it. I'm so close. This is going to be the most boring podcast in the world.
Just try this one, yeah.
Okay, try this one. This one's bigger?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I got to put it back in my sheet. I'll stick them in that. Is that a hedgehog
it
fishing
is.
pin?
Yeah. I call him Dochi.
Dochi?
Yeah. It's like my partner's Korean, and so it means hedgehog, but like a cute name in Korean.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's nice. Were you connected to culture as a kid?
Yeah, I grew up dancing. I was a fancy dancer as a child.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been going to ceremonies since I was a baby. But yeah, I grew up mostly in the West Coast, so I feel like I wasn't raised the most traditionally Métis way. All my family was Métis First Nations. And yeah, so yeah, like I didn't jig growing up.
You didn't jig?
I know, and I still don't jig. Even though I've had every moment to like be able to jig, I'm just really bad at jigging. Yeah.
Have you tried it?
I've tried it, yeah.
And okay, I grew up very Métis too, and very connected to culture, which is very nice to sit down next to somebody else who also kind of grew up similar.
Yeah.
I'm totally gonna need you to thread this for me.
No,
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
For those of you watching, it's more for sake of time. I would sit here until I got it done for sure. But, I grew up going to like harvest dinner and dances. Do you remember those back in the day? Did you ever go to any of those?
I don't think I did. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, I jigged. I took a jigging lesson or something like that, and I remember that when we first got there that we didn't have anything to play the music on, so we had to go, like my dad and I had to like go to like Future Shop at the time and go pick up a speaker so that we could put the CD in it and then,
Aw.
you know, play some Red River music and
Oh my
get down to
God,
business.
CDs.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so pretend that I did that by myself, and then so we got this done. So what's step 2?
All right, so you want to leave a little, like a tiny little tail. Yeah. And then you want to knot the longest end. Like so.
Not the longest end.
Yeah.
Just a
regular knot. So my little secret is I'll have the little loop and I'll go through it twice instead of knotting it, like double knotting it that way.
So once and then another time.
Yeah.
And then that's gonna stop it from going through.
Bam.
Boom.
Boom.
Okay.
All right. So you have your colors here. Pick out your favorite. Usually you do like and keep in mind, like this is whatever you want. I shouldn't say usual. It's whatever you feel.
Okay.
But a lot of Métis beadwork will have usually like yellow or a lighter color in the middle. And then you'll have like a dominant color on the outside.
Mm.
And then light in the inside. But again, it's like however you feel. So there's like no right or wrong way to bead. Okay,
so a lighter color, just make sure I heard you right. Lighter color in the middle.
Yeah.
A dominant darker color on the outside.
Yeah.
And then an in between.
Yes.
In the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll go with the orange for the middle.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Do you start middle out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll kind of show you first. It's always difficult when you first start too, so don't beat yourself up.
I will, but that's just my personality. That's
Alright.
okay.
So what you want to do is you want to bring your needle and put it in the middle of this circle right here.
In the middle of this circle.
Yeah.
From underneath?
From underneath, yeah, like so.
Okay. And then what's this? Like, so this is a piece of felt, I guess.
Yes, this is Pellin.
Pellin?
Yeah.
All right. And then on top of it is just like a piece of like paper, essentially.
Yeah. So
And you sewed it up for me already.
Yeah. I drew this morning actually, and I printed it on tracing paper so you can like rip it off easily.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some people prefer to like draw on the design on the Pellin. I like making earrings, so I want them to be exact, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice and just go right through the middle.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. All right, and then you want to grab your one lighter color bead.
Oh, I almost pulled it all the way out right there. And I just dump a little on here.
Yeah.
Do you ever put it in the top part? Is that allowed?
There's no rules for beading. It's like however you feel works, you know.
Okay.
But I don't think that would be practical.
It just wouldn't work. one bead on one bead.
One bead. All right. So you want to tack it down. So you go.
Do I slide it all the way down to the thing?
You can do that.
Just on my leg.
And then you want to tack it down. So like so. Bam.
Just go right beside it.
Yeah. Already got a knot. Whoops. Okay.
Tack it down right beside it. Boom.
Boom. All right.
What did we use as beads before we had plastic beads? Do you know?
I think they were made out of, like, I've heard a story, and this is from an elder from Métis Crossing. She basically told me that we'd like make it like beads out of roses. So like I don't know if this is true or not, but like yeah, so she said that rosary beads were made out of roses, and so people would make beads out of roses.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love Métis Crossing. That was like one of my most fun trips I've ever had with my dad. Like most recently. That was like most recent trip.
What were you there for?
Well, I knew they had bison there,
Yeah.
And my dream retirement job is to have a bison farm in Manitoba. Jimbo's all part of the vision for this too, but
Yeah.
like I just want to have a bunch of bison, be able to feed the community,
Yeah.
be able to give like ceremonial resources back to the people.
Yeah.
And so I knew they had bison, so this is a great story. So I actually show up there.
Yeah.
And it's like not a very busy day. Like I'm there on like a Tuesday, took a couple days off to spend time with my family. And we show up and they're like, do I pull this all the way through?
Yeah.
Oh, I did. Okay, I did.
So it should be like a little flat like that.
Is mine flat like that?
Perfect. All right. Sorry. The next.
No, it's good. We'll keep going.
I made this really tiny, so probably we would do the dominant color from outside.
From here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, I wanted to do like a dark blue and then a light blue on the inside.
That would be so pretty.
Yeah.
Can I do the same colors?
Yeah, of course. And so the beads that I'm using are called Charlottes. So Charlottes and Miyukis. So you get like the really fancy shiny beads. Yeah. This is like a beader's dream.
Charlottes.
Charlottes, yeah.
Why are they a beader's dream?
Because they're just so shiny and pretty.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Good sparkle, like a good eye sparkle or something like that.
Yeah, like if you have, I should have brought beadwork just to show. But yeah, I have like a full medallion made out of like these beautiful white beads that just sparkle from every light.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. And so Charlotte's, and what was the other one called?
These are called Miyuki.
And they're like matte, I guess.
They're kind of matte. These are like, so these are, in my humble opinion, one of the better beads. But some people use check beads and they're okay too. But I find check, after time, they like start coming off, like the colors.
Okay, yeah.
And if you're gonna spend so much time making beadwork, like you don't want it to like fade, you know?
Yeah.
So I find Miyuki is a little bit better for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where do you buy all this stuff? Like just any
many different places.
Really?
Yeah.
Just any craft store will do kind of thing, or?
It depends. There's Bizu here in Vancouver. It's huge. They sell like so much beads. Like when you go in that store, you'll feel like very overwhelmed. Like there's so much.
Really?
Yeah, like it's really cool. There's also Bedazzle in Surrey, which is pretty good.
Bedazzle. Okay.
I get my Miyukis from them. And then the Charlottes I get from an Etsy Indian family owned company in India.
Okay.
And they cut their own beads. And so Charlottes, if you see like these ones, they're like a mixed color.
Yeah. And
they're like cut on an angle, so you get like the play with the lights. Like it's very shiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a specific cutting because these are glass beads, so you get that really pretty glimmer.
Wow, I feel so lucky.
But yeah, we can work together.
Okay, perfect. Oh, we got okay. All right, we're pouring it all out. Dump it all out. Okay, so anyway, so we show up. Well, actually, I guess we should just keep going. What's my next step from here?
All right, so your next step is you grab 7 beads.
Do I go back through just like you just did?
Oh, yes, sorry. As you can tell, I'm not the best teacher.
I think you're doing a great job. And we're just going to go along the dark lines of this, I guess.
Yeah, first you want to make kind of like a circle first.
Okay.
So you want to go around this main bead. So I'll kind of show you the next step. So grab 7 of the beads.
Okay. Boom, 7 beads. How do you know it's 7?
Count them.
That was gold. That was gold.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. In the meantime, while I grab these 7, what were the teenage years like for you? Like, what was the interest? What was going on?
Yeah, I feel like my teenage years were kind of probably the hardest in my life. yeah, like I went through foster care. Got put in there when I was around 15. Yeah, it was probably a really difficult time for me. You know, I grew up with very strong aunties and uncles and my mom, and, you know, watching someone you love, you know, kind of lose themselves is really hard, you know? And, yeah, so I had to deal with that. And I got put, you know, I lost my stepdad, the dad that raised me. My mom and him got divorced. And then, yeah, we moved to BC, lived with my grandparents. Yeah, she met a man that didn't like kids, you know? And that was it. So, yeah, when I was in high school, it was just me kind of struggling with my own mental health in that way. And I never finished high school. Like, I dropped out. My brother too. And yeah, so I think my teenage years were kind of probably the hardest for me to get through. Yeah.
When did things start looking up? Because for those that haven't met you before, I mean, you teach beading, you're in music today, you're thinking about going to the University of Manitoba for social work, right? Or are you definitely going now?
I've applied, so I don't know yet until April, but hopefully. Gotcha.
And you specifically are going because when we talked on the phone before the podcast, I know you mentioned to me that, you know, like when you age out of care, it's pretty much just figure it out.
Yeah. And, you know, I was talking to one of my friends too. So basically in BC, when you're 18, you're kind of like, if you're not in school and you're like no longer part of the ministry, they have a program from like 19 to 24 that they'll help support you. But if you don't age out to 19, then you're kind of like left on your own. So when I was in care, I went through so many different social workers. I don't even remember their names. They didn't tell me about like aging out or moving or going to like a different ministry or pretty much anything after care. And so when I was 18, I dropped out of high school. Obviously, I'm not in school anymore. Ministry stopped paying, you know, like my foster parent. So I moved to Vancouver. I lived on the couch of one of my friends. I think I couch surfed a little bit until I was 19. Vancouver, you couldn't rent if you were 18. You had to have a co-parent. Obviously, my parents weren't in the picture at that time, and so it was really difficult when I was 18.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. What was the healing journey like from that experience?
I think I partied a lot, tried to forget it. I didn't talk to my parents, I think, till I was around 22, 23. I didn't understand, because I'm a little older. I know I'm 30. So mental health wasn't talked about as much as it is now. I didn't know what intergenerational trauma was. I didn't understand psychology or things like that. So I partied. I worked a lot. I think I worked at 1.3 jobs. It was really hard. I wasn't focusing on my culture. I wasn't going back to community. I just was in Vancouver trying to survive, pay rent. I think it started changing when I was around 23. I started having more stability. I had a place that, you know, I could regularly pay rent to that was affordable. Also met my partner back then. He also really helped me heal. He's from a culture where family structures are very like coherent, like they're really together. And so he kind of gave me a lot of clarity, I think, when I first met him. And so I think when I was 23, that's around the time when I started thinking, what happened to my parents, asking them questions, seeking their stories so I could kind of see what happened when I was younger. And and all that. That kind of led me down the route of, I go to UBC. I'm graduating this semester.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But yeah, that I decided to major in psychology. I wanted to figure out, what happened with my family and fully understand like our predicaments. And I think psych really helped me heal, especially learning about Indigenous psychology. That put a lot of things into perspective. I took my minor's Indigenous studies, so I took a bunch of Indigenous classes that go right in the gritty of legislations and things like that. I think knowledge really helped me heal and putting words to or names to my pain and trauma in that way. But yeah, I would say things started getting better when I was around 23. Yeah.
Interesting. So here, let's I'll think of some additional questions
Got all deep,
as we no, for real. And I appreciate you being so vulnerable and like that's a lot to go through for a person. And I feel like the whole point of our storytellers, and not to make this about us at that moment in time, but you asked me like, why did we start this thing? And I think it's so that, people can see other people that are going through similar experiences like you might have the opportunity to see, like coming out on the other end. And, and it's interesting that you said like you learned more about psychology. So it just kind of helped you label what you were going through and be able to address it. It's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, you want me to get a little vulnerable here too while I fix this up?
Yeah, of course.
So I grew up, boom, traditional, attending ceremony my whole life, and then my parents divorced. And my mom is English, and my parents divorced. My dad had cancer before they divorced, and it was just like a little bit of a rougher time. And then yeah, I don't exactly know what happened. I think both my parents were kind of just going through a hard time with that. And then but like for me, I think what kind of saved me is like, because I was so attached to ceremony there too, I feel like I just did something wrong again here. Okay, no.
You did it.
Is that it?
Yeah. You did it.
I made like a little hoop, but it's not sitting on top of the other bead. Does that matter?
You're going to tack it down.
Okay.
So
essentially we made a circle around our center bead already. Let me see yours. Yeah, let me see yours.
So
okay.
Like that, and you can put it down. So it's nicely around it.
So if my thread's sticking out right there, I want to go right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes. You're doing it. You're beading.
I'm beading.
You are. You're learning the Métis way.
I know. My dad's probably so proud of me right now. So what made you start selling your beadwork? Like when does that start?
I didn't intentionally start wanting to sell. A lot of my family members were asking, like, because first off, I had my own Facebook, lol, and I would post. I know people don't use Facebook anymore, but like that's where I posted it when I've been beading for 5 years. Okay.
Do people not use Facebook anymore? I feel like that's like the most common method of communication.
It's like
for Indigenous.
Yeah. But a lot of my friends just use Instagram nowadays,
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so I started like posting so much about beadwork that like I kind of was spamming my Facebook too much about beadwork. And there's like some of my friends that are like, girl, like I don't want to see like your really ugly looking beadwork. So I made a page just dedicated to my beadwork on Facebook, just to show like my progress, what I was doing. And then a bunch of my family members wanted to buy beadwork from me. I actually didn't know how to price things. I think I used to like sell things for like $10. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good deal.
I did that for like a year, like, because I wanted people to have beadwork, and then I had family members that insisted to pay me instead of me just gifting it to them, you know. And then it just progressed in that way. I don't really, like, I'll sell beadwork maybe every couple months nowadays. And the way I think of it is I'm kind of giving back to community, and I'm giving pride to people. Mm-hmm. You go to a powwow, you go to any like Indig community meeting or whatnot, and you'll just see everyone like all decked out and just so proud and loud. You go to my university, like everyone has beadwork, and we even bead in class, which is kind of funny.
Busy hands, clear mind. That's the saying, Jess.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been a journey, and I feel like really like beading gives people pride, and yeah, so I like.
How has beading transformed your life?
Oh wow. I actually was on a live yesterday, and I was saying I don't even remember what I did before I beaded. Yeah, because it's such a big part of my life. When I'm stressed, I'll bead. When I want to clear my mind and step away from the noise, I'll bead. A lot of my best friends bead, so we'll have like our beading circles, which are usually at my house. I have a beading circle at my school. Now we do it every Wednesdays. But yeah, like I think it's probably one of the biggest parts of my life. I also think it really brought me and my mom closer. You know, she really loves beadwork, although she's okay. I love her, but she's the sewer and I'm the beader.
Gotcha.
You know? But yeah, I love learning about beading. It's a big part of our culture. For like Métis individuals, back in the day, your entire social status was based on beadwork. We were talking about the octopus bag you got back here. When a woman would get married, she would gift an octopus bag to her partner, and then that would determine his status. Yeah. Really? Yeah.
What a cool story, really?
Yeah.
So, my mom gave that one to me. Oh. That's my only level of status that I have in life. is that one octopus bag?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And if you even look at our like buffalo hunts, for example, if you broke a rule, the first thing is your jacket. And if you've seen like a Métis buck jacket, fully beaded, fully floral, fully absolutely stunning, that would get cut up. They would cut that up.
Oh.
Yeah.
What rule would we have to break?
It's like
whatever rule the band had at that moment in time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And then the second, if you broke another rule, you would have your like horse. My brain today.
Like the saddle?
Yeah, the saddle. If you've ever seen like a Métis saddle, like they're decked out, like they're so beautiful. Like that would take about a year to make, and that's like doing it every day.
Yeah.
That would get cut up.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. So you gotta stay in a court. You gotta stay focused.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show you like how beadwork and like in Métis communities was so strong, because that would prevent people from breaking rules and laws because of how much we valued beadwork. And yeah, so when I think about it, like I've learned from so many different Métis artists. Recently I did a wall pocket with Gregory Schofield. If you guys don't know him, he is a two-spirit Métis individual. He does a lot of poetry. He's very well known for Métis beadwork revitalization. And he's dedicated his entire life like beading. And so I took a workshop with him this past year in April. We worked together with a bunch of other Métis individuals for 4 months, and we created a traditional Métis wall pocket. But by doing that, I learned so much from him about how much beadwork meant to Métis, and what goes into it. So if you look at any traditional attire, if they're Métis, it's usually, it will represent the 4 stages of life. So you'll find leaves, you'll find buds, you'll find seeds, and then you'll find the full floral. And you'll find that in every single one of traditional Métis beadwork.
Really?
Yeah.
My mind is blown right now. That's so cool. I had no idea, honestly.
Yeah, it's so big. It's so big part of like Métis culture. Like that's that's how our society ran. That's how we made money back in the day. And yeah, so I've kind of prided myself on becoming a beader and also teaching others as much as I can, because I think it's just so important that people are beading together and stitching and bitching, you know.
All right, well, let's keep going then.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is so cool. So I think I understood where it was going, and I brought my thread back up.
Nice.
So I'm here.
Hey. All right, so you would stitch in between the threads, in between the beads, to kind of tack them down.
Did I do that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, you're actually farther than me. Give me one sec. That looks so good.
Thank you.
That looks really good. Good job.
Good teacher.
Hey. Aw. All right, so the next step. So there's a couple techniques that people can use. I think for beginners, I really value the 2-stitch, and I learned how to 2-stitch at Métis Crossing. We were having a youth event, and Elder Denise McQuaig was there. And so of course at night we're all beading together. I was complaining because I couldn't make good florals. Like my florals were so bad. And so I got taught the traditional Métis 2-stitch method, and that helped me like so much when I first started beading.
So we're gonna tack down. Boom.
Boom, bada boom.
My hands are getting sweaty. I'm getting slippy out here.
Oh my gosh. Just getting all nervous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, you know, you think about these like Métis buffalo hunters. They're like fully decked out in florals. You know? Mm-hmm. It's so cool.
I just learned something. I feel like I learned a lot from what you just said, but also I just learned that the distance of the stitch matters.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No. I got it. You got to go through it yourself. So then I pushed it down. So now I come back up through the beginning of it, and then go through the end bead.
Yeah. Perfect. Just a natural.
You know what I really want to learn to make more than anything in the world too? Not that, I mean, I really want to learn to bead. That's why we're here right now. But at the same, I feel like making moccasins for people is like the sweetest gift you could ever give somebody. I feel like.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Have you ever made mocks before?
I made a couple. They're very hard.
Yeah.
Like your hands are gonna go through it when you make mocks.
Really?
Yeah, like it's because you're working with leather, and leather's a little harder to work with. Yeah.
Poke through big thick needles.
Yeah, you'll have to have something on your hands or your fingers to help you push the needle through. And then there's like specific needles that you should use, like leather needles. And yeah, so it's really hard to do.
What would we use for needles before we had like I don't know what this is made out of, but like metal needles, I guess.
Oh, that's a good question. I have no idea.
Or we'll find someone to ask that too.
Yeah.
We'll write that one down. Find that out. All right.
I know thread we used.
Sinew.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
That's good.
All right. That was one of my questions, is what the 2-stitch method was. But how do you draw inspiration for your designs? Like you say you love making earrings. Like, how does that work for you?
I go through phases. Right now I think I'm in a big floral phase. I really want to do, I I guess for inspiration wise, definitely like grandmother pieces or kokum pieces. I got a book from also by Gregory Schofield, where he has an entire collection of Métis grandmother pieces. And so it's like, I think it's like 300, 400 pages, and it's just full details on where it's from, if there's any background or details on it. And so I'll just kind of get my inspiration from traditional pieces. Nowadays I'm trying to do more traditional work. So kind of moving away from, you know, like medallions or earrings. I've been trying to do wall pockets or octopus bags or like recreating all the grandmother pieces that I see in my own way.
You're like Our Storytellers, but for beaders.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. You're keeping the culture alive.
Yeah.
That's sick. That's amazing. Sorry, I'm so focused. This is more difficult than I thought it was gonna be. That's like what is when you're talking about like grandmother bags, grandmother design, stuff like that, like is that because like that's all floral stuff, I suppose, and then is there anything else that's included in that?
Most of it is grandmothers. The reason why we use the term grandmother too is because a lot of the beadwork is from museums or auctions or places where our beadwork was kind of stolen. So there's not a lot of history on who made it, who was the beader, who created it, which is kind of unfortunate. So what Gregory Schofield does and a lot of other beaders is they deserve a name. They're our grandmothers. And so that's why we use kokum or grandmother pieces. But in terms of different beadwork, we definitely focus mainly on florals. There are some like Korean inspirations, so some geometric designs. You can see that actually at my Métis settlement, Round Prairie. I actually got to see one of our own pieces from our community, and it was this really beautiful kind of geometric design. It reminded me of florals as well as like the 4 directions.
That's cool.
Yeah, I recreated it, but yeah, I didn't bring it today. I should have brought like a bunch of beadwork to show you, but so I recreated that. I gave that to all my family members. But yeah, that was from Round Prairie. And yeah.
Do you go back to the community often?
So our Métis settlements, originally it was our wintering site, and then we got scrip. In my great grandfather's generation,
for those that don't know what scrip is, could you please explain it a little bit?
Yeah. So scrip is kind of, so during the Red River Resistance, during treaty signing, we were fighting the government. We were in an active war against them. So we weren't actually eligible for treaty. And also a lot of Métis just didn't want to sign treaty in that sense. However, scrip was given to us through the Manitoba Act as a means to make up for, I think it was like 1.6 million acres of land was promised to the Métis. And so they used scrip as a really fraudulent means to give land to Métis to live on. Only 80% of Métis actually got their scrip. Only 20% Métis got scrip, 80% didn't. And this was because like there was an incident where there'd be like a Métis person going to a wedding, and they would be recorded at that wedding. And at the same time in Alberta, someone would be cashing in their scrip. Scrip would come in land or it would come in money. And what would end up happening is a lot of Métis individuals, they didn't know how to read. They didn't understand the concept of scrip. And so they would just give it away. They just didn't know what it was. A lot of people also just like stole it from Métis people. And so, yeah, a lot of settlers took scrip from Métis and grab their land, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I read this book called The Northwest is Our Mother. Have you heard of that book?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jean is related to my family in some way, according to Dad. But like they probably forged a lot of our signatures on everything. And but most of the time it was probably signed with an X.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, like they were probably making up names for us at the time to sign to like give land away, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, your family, your script family.
Yeah. So what ended up happening, I'm going to do the Métis thing. You know, we always talk about our family in the Red River Resistance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So this is on my mother's side. My mom is Round Prairie Métis. I'm the descendant of Charles Trottier. So he was the leader of the Trottier Brigades. So he ran a big buffalo hunt. And he was a general in Louis Riel's army. Because of his involvement and with the Red River Resistance, all the leaders basically went to Montana in hiding. So half my family stayed down there. They signed treaty, so a lot of them are part of Turtle Mountain. And then the other half, we went to Round Prairie, and there was 150 families that lived there. Unfortunately, you know, the bisons were gone. That was the main source of our food. Our settlements, you know, there was the Great Depression, and the premier of that time was famously known for saying when the Métis were asking for aid or any type of help, they said to blame the breed for us not being able to have food. And so what ended up happening to my settlement is half of us unfortunately passed due to starvation. And then the other half ended up having to go live in the road allowances of Saskatchewan. And that was in my great-grandfather's generation. Every Round Prairie Métis also went to residential school. And this is, you know, the fallout from our, you know, being resistant leader families. We were targeted for a long time in our Round Prairie settlement. But yeah, so that's my mother's side. My father's side, my grandmother is from Kinuso, which is kind of near like High Prairie, East Prairie Métis settlements. Alberta, yeah. And for script there was, I actually looked into this because I was really curious why, like, we didn't have any land on my grandmother's side, and we were just in Kinuso for a while, and our script records, my great-great-grandfather, he had his script stolen from a company that's still alive in Edmonton right now. They were the first millionaires in Edmonton, and it was all based off of stealing script from Métis.
Really?
Yeah.
Should we call the company out? What's their name? Maybe let's not get sued today.
I'm like, do you really want that? I'll tell you, you know, you and me.
I'm not scared of nobody though. But that's super interesting.
Yeah.
So you are Métis pedigree, both sides.
Yeah. Both my parents are Métis, yeah.
Dang. Dang. So that's one hell of a story though. Your families, like the starvation. We're from the Prue family. I'm from the Prue family.
Okay.
And but we stayed in Red River.
Yeah.
And I don't know too much of the story. When my dad listens to it, he's gonna be pissed and call me. But I'm pretty sure we were road allowance too.
Yeah.
And like I think that a common misconception about Métis people, if you don't know anything about us, is that, you know, like we don't, like, because we, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm doing it right. Okay, we're good. Because we don't, like, we were never attached to a treaty or anything like that, you know, we never really had anything, and we just survived and stayed inside and just shared stories down and down and down and down. And like we have resistance stories in our family and stuff like that too. And
Yeah.
what does it mean to you to be Métis?
Ooh.
I love this question.
Yeah. I'm extremely proud to be Métis. I think it's very beautiful to have been created in a time where colonization was violent and horrific. I find specifically, in the Red River Métis settlements, thinking about how the creation of our culture was made. Two people, they got together, they shared their culture, they shared French, they shared Cree, Nish, wherever, whatever mix you are. All their descendants married the same kind of mixtures, and it was all about sharing our culture and coming into, one people. And I think that's really beautiful. I feel like, having these stories of resiliency and how much our families have struggled and been very proud of being Métis, like especially my mom's side, like they're crazy Métis,
Mm-hmm.
Like in the Red River Resistance, I had 3 generations of family that fought. So Charles's dad, and then my ancestor Isidore Trottier, they all fought there. They all wanted rights. They wanted, Manitoba was supposed to be the place where Indigenous people had rights. They really fought and believed in that, and also in being Métis. They're very, very proud. And so for me, I think coming from such a strong culture, like I'm so proud,
Mm-hmm.
It gives me a belonging, it gives me so much cultural things that I can find myself in, and and I think it's beautiful. Yeah.
You want to hear a story about a dream I had one time? It has to do with the Montana going down to.
Yeah, of course.
So, oopsie! I looped my. Every time I start talking, I make a mistake.
I know, beading's hard.
I should honestly put it down eventually and start talking, but I'm just I feel like first of all, I feel like I should be on every podcast because I feel like I listen so well right now. I'm absorbing everything, but when we were starting our storytellers, Jim and I, you asked us why we started it, and part of the reason is because my mom asked me to. That's a big deal to me, matriarch society, stuff like that. But I went to university and grew up ceremony, went to university, and I noticed that other Métis people in, I guess, our generation, were a little bit uncomfortable with what ceremony meant. And I'm like, guys, we did also speak Cree and Nish, and we spoke multiple languages and all this different type of stuff. But anyway, uncomfortable with accessing ceremony, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, what's an accessible way to provide that? And it ended up being the podcast. The story goes, though, is it was probably December of not 2024, but 2023. Our first episode ever came out on September 30th of 2023.
Oh, wow.
And I was working my butt off, and I laid down, and I was going to sleep in my clothes. And I laid down, I was like, I'm just going to lay down for 1 second. So I lay down for 1 second, and I go into this dream. And in this dream, an old man with his Métis jacket, I'm in what I thought at the time was a chalet. Like a chalet is what it felt like.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at this table, and an old man comes in, weathered, and he was like, he sits down to me, he's like, oh, do you remember me? Do you know who I am? I was like, no, I don't know who you are. like, what's your name, sir? Like, take a seat. It was cold. It was snowing outside. For some reason, I knew that. And he sits down, old jacket, like you know when you see one in a museum and it's weathered, you know what I'm saying? And you can see that it's used. There's like blood stains on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He looked like that. Old white beard, sits down, and he goes, do you know who I am? I said, no, I don't know who you are. Like, what's your name? He's like you. I remember this clear as day. Like you, I have many names, but these days in this world, they call me David. And I was like, David? I was like, it's nice to meet you, David. He's like, do you know why they call me David? I was like, no, I have no idea why they call you David. He's like, you should read the story of David and Goliath in the Bible, which I've never done yet. I watched the YouTube video. But he's like, you should read the story of David and Goliath in the Bible, and you'll know a little bit more about who I am and what I cared about. And I was like, okay, like, I can do that. Like, that's all good. And I wake up from it. I'm like, whoa. I was probably not even asleep for an hour.
Yeah.
And so I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, like, I just got visited by somebody. Like, what is happening? Like, who is this? And it was midnight. It was 11 our time, so midnight Alberta time.
Yeah.
And I look it up, and it wasn't a chalet. I'm pretty sure it was the church in Montana where Luriel ran away to for those years. And I haven't gone there yet, but I am definitely going to go. And he told me to keep going. And I was like, okay, I'll keep going. No big deal. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Luriel also went by the name David at the time too. So I'm pretty sure that was Luriel, but I can't tell for sure. I'll never know until I see him again, I guess. But yeah, wild dream, hey?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was a wild dream.
Aw. Just visited, hey?
To me, what it means to be Métis is doing the right thing for the right people at the right time, no matter what the cost is. Like, you know, this show supports like anybody. We're on Squamish Nation right now, you know, like, and I feel like that's what it kind of means to be Métis. Like, it didn't matter where we were at the time. We were moving all the time, you know, and it just meant to support and be actionable for the people that are right in front of us. So to me, that's what it actually means to act and behave Métis.
Yeah.
And then part of the, like, and then also like just learning about, like, I'm very proud to be Métis too, specifically Métis. Like, I grew up going to Nehio Sundances and stuff like that. Like, that's what I believe in and that's what I behave in. But I think we had ceremony the whole time. Like, we would go to ceremony the whole time.
Oh, we definitely did.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like my kind of most recent Métis story, and from the spirit world, I guess you could say. Wow, beading does get deep, hey?
Yeah, that's what happens. Beading is medicine, as they say.
Oh gosh, my goodness gracious. What does ceremony mean to you?
Ooh.
This is where I'm at so far.
Wow.
Check in.
Beautiful.
Not bad. I'm having a great time, by the way.
Hey. Well, I'm glad.
Thanks for teaching me.
Of course. Every Métis should bead. I'm just biased. I'm sorry. I grew up going to ceremony. There's a place called the Medicine Wheel, which was in Mission.
Mm-hmm. That's where I learned my first song.
Really? Well, we probably ran into each other.
Probably.
Yeah,
because
because I went there every year since I was like a little girl. You know Alberta?
Maybe back in the day, but I'm not now anyway.
There's a story, like, I don't know, it really like resonated. I don't know. When I was a kid, I always imagined it. But my mom told me the story that like Elder Mary would feed bears berries out of her hand. Yeah. At the medicine wheel. But yeah, I would go there every summer. I grew up going to sweats. I had my first peyote ceremony when I think I was like 19.
There?
Yeah, peyote ceremony.
Yeah, I know what it is. Wow, that's wild. I think my dad had his first one there too.
Oh shoot.
Who ran? Wow, okay. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I don't, this wasn't in Mission. I think this was near Lillooet, the peyote ceremony. But yeah, I just I grew up mostly here in the West Coast. A lot of my family is from Lillooet or from Scootenshuck or Skatine. And so I think I've been mostly influenced by like my First Nations family. But yeah, ceremony to me, it's difficult because I haven't went back much as an adult. And I always talk about my indigeneity or my pride. When I was younger, it was really strong in my family. We actively, like, we went back to Batosh when I was a child. I was a powwow dancer. I did all these sort of things when I was really young, and it stopped, I think, when I was around 12, 13. Things got hard for my family, and I went into care. And I always say that I was raised like very strong in culture, and then I slowly went away, and then I came back. And so
that's what happens in this world, I feel like, these days.
Yeah. But yeah, I think ceremony is essential for your mental well-being. You know, I've always heard the saying that ceremony is every day. You know, you should be listening to yourself, and whatever ceremony means to you too is, you know, important. And yeah, so yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going on a whole
No, I mean, I agree with all, like, I agree with all that. Like, this is ceremony right here.
Yeah.
We are literally doing it right now. Live. From your couch.
Yeah.
So, what's your goal when you're going to go to, like, you're thinking about, or you applied to go to this school of social work? Like, what's your goal? What's your outcome? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I specifically picked this program first. It's probably one of the only social work programs with Indigenous knowledge centered. And if I was to do anything in my master's, I always want to make it Indigenous focused. And I always thought how I can give back to my community. I think we're in a mental health crisis in some ways. And so, yeah, sorry. I decided to do this program because I saw kind of like a gap between kids aging out, like what happened to me when I was 18. I feel like, 56% of kids in care are Indigenous. There's high, studies done on kids aging out and becoming homeless, starting their addictions, all these sort of things because they don't age out properly. They don't have support. They don't have care. And so I was just thinking on problem solving, how do we fix this? How do we, bring up our next generation? How is our next generation going to not have the cycle of abuse? And so I really want to create a program that's 18 to 20, fully mentored by Indigenous staff, Indigenous counselors, where we focus on intergenerational healing, being able to name that pain, and then healing from it. I think healing is not just an individual act. It's a whole family act. It's a community act. Whereas the system right now, it's built for the individual and that's it. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to do something in the future to create a program where kids aging out can be mentored and healed in that way. Yeah.
How can I help?
Ooh.
We'll get the word out there, I guess.
Well, I think you're doing your healing work right now, right? You're doing podcasts. You're bringing stories to other people. We're in this current contemporary generation where social media is everywhere. You're doing your piece, right? That's important to get it out, other stories, find healing in that way. And yeah, so you're already helping, you know?
I appreciate it. Why do you think are you hungry?
Perhaps, but it's okay. Don't
I have
worry
some
about
soup. Do you want me to go get you some soup?
it. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I kind of like woke up and like ran here.
Gotcha.
But it's okay. It's okay. Ignore it.
No. Jim, there's some soup in the. Do you like vegetable soup?
I love. Yep.
Jim, could you please run upstairs and warm up some soup? It's in the pot in the fridge. You got it?
Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir.
Jim.
That's all good.
You just hear my stomach rumbling or what?
Hey. It's you're not coming to a Métis man's house and not getting fed though. That's for real too.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I just wonder why. Like, why is it not a priority right now?
Ooh.
Is it like, it must be a money thing, I guess, or something like that? I don't know. But like, why is it not a priority right now? Because when I think about myself,
Yeah.
super privileged, grew up super privileged. Like, imagine if I had nobody at 18, 19 years old. Like, yeah. Like, you need a community. You need a community. You need to have people that support you, that stand you up, that are there for you. Like, that's not sustainable. Like, we're essentially not setting up people for success whatsoever. So, like, why is it not a priority right now?
You know, that's a great question. You know, it's...
If you had to guess, what would it be? I've seen your TikToks. I know you can go at it.
Yeah. Well, it's systematic, right? We know these issues exist, right? Papers have been published. It's not like we don't have, you know, concepts of intergenerational trauma or things like this. I think it's funding, right? The government gives the bare minimum to kids in care in that way. But keep in mind, there's people, I've heard different stories from different people that have a good relationship being in care, having a good social worker that, you know, got them through it, are really good friends with them. But I also have really close friends that are on the East Hastings and they've never healed. And, you know, so it's hard to say. Like, I think that kids in care are the most vulnerable. You're away from your family. You're essentially abandoned in some way. And you don't have mental health support. You don't have community support. At least here in BC, and I'm Métis, so Métis don't have jurisdiction over our kids in care. Mm-hmm. And so I actually talked to a girl through my TikTok. I had talked about my time in care, and she reached out and she was like, "Hey, I'm also in care and I'm Métis, but I can't access programs. I can't access, like, the only way I can get access to programs is if I have my Métis citizenship, but I can't get access to my parents' documentation. I can't get access to my own documentation." And so they have no access to culture. For MMBC, you know, they legally can't talk to these kids. They have to talk to their foster parents or their social workers. And then it's dependent fully on that social worker. So she was telling me her foster parent wouldn't bring her to any, like, ceremonies, wouldn't bring her to a powwow, wouldn't help her with her citizenship. And so a lot of these kids are treated like numbers. Like, they're not, you know, people give you money and they just leave it. They don't give you support or counseling or connect you with community or culture. And that's so important, especially to us Indigenous peoples. You know, we've already had so much happen to us. And now our kids are in care, which is, some people are saying, you know, like, we have the millennial scoop. We have all these kids in care. Like, it's another form of oppression. And
the millennial scoop.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before, but no, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just, sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So it's just unfortunate that this is all happening, and we know it's there. we have all these conferences. Like I see so many social work conferences about Indigenous kids. It's like, what are you guys doing then? Like where were people when I was a kid? Like I didn't have any support. And
that wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah.
You know?
And my brother, like I love him, and I'm not going to speak on his own story, but like his experience in the ministry was horrific. Like, at least for me, like I had some people that stepped up a little. Like I lived with my grandparents for a bit, and then my friend's mom was a foster parent, took me in for a bit. And then, you know, I was on my own. But my brother, he went through group homes, and he went through so many different places, and he only got a grade 10 education. No one cared about him. And we weren't even together. Like, where was my brother when I was a teenager? He was in the ministry, but we weren't together. So it's just like, it just feels really gross, the whole concept of, you know, kids in care. Because, like, how can you say we're in care when no one's actually really caring for us?
Yeah.
You know?
You're in the opposite of care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it just gets me going. Like, I get really riled up. And you know, like, to be able to connect with community and culture, I really strongly believe you have to have stability. Because when you're on survival mode and you're worrying about paying rent, and you're not focusing on your mental health, because there's no mental health, you're trying to ignore it. You know, how do you go back to ceremony? How do you go back to your community when, you know, you can't even help yourself, you know? So it just really hurts me to see like this perpetuated cycle. Talking to this person in care, her telling me that she can't access like anything. And that's just horrific. And that's happening right now in 2024, 2025, you know, but yeah.
If you could give me a job to solve it tomorrow, like give me one thing how do I word this question? For me, like, yeah, come in, Jim, come in. Here, we got you some soup here.
So it's a little hot, but
Yeah.
the soup should be like good.
Yeah.
It's a little hot, like the bowl is.
Okay.
So yes.
We can.
Here you go, and here's your tissue.
That's all
I
good.
hope you enjoy.
This is an Indig podcast. You get soup.
I like it. Thank you so much.
No worries.
I appreciate it.
I just made it yesterday. I hope it should be even
looks
better
good.
today.
Yeah.
Are you allergic to anything now?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
There's quinoa, lentils.
It looks very healthy and delicious.
Okay. Sweet.
Like,
No bannock though. I'm a bannock-less household, kind of always these days. I don't know.
yeah.
Hurts me for some reason, but
Thank you for.
no worries. You eat, and I guess I should talk eventually here. But I have to say, I'm having a great time beating this thing. Like I feel. Look.
Wow.
I feel like you can kind of see me figure it out.
Yeah.
You're like, it's like crap. A little bit better. Did I do the turnaround right?
You did perfect. It looks really good. This is your first one?
Yeah.
Wow. Just natural.
It's in the blood.
Truly.
That's what Drury's saying. It's in the blood.
It's in the blood.
Yeah.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. I can see it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, okay. Here's my rant for today. You can get a rant out of me.
I love my rants.
For teaching me, you get a rant out of me. But I feel like this is my critique on Indigenous people in general, Métis, everybody. I think that we have our hearts in the right place. I think we do the right things often. I think that a lot of us do make a lot of great change.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have trouble prioritizing on the things that we're not going to be able to solve everything in this generation. And we're not going to, I just feel like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could solve a lot of it, but like, what is the root cause of this, right? Well, the root cause is that the resources aren't there really. They're in a system that like isn't set up for their success, right?
Yeah.
like until we have, and I think a couple of communities actually do have control over their own childcare. What's I don't know how to word this, but what's the industry called? Child protection? Is that what it's called?
Like foster care?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they have some communities do have control over their own foster care system now,
Yeah.
which is a great step in the right direction. We are Métis. What do we do? You know, like we have to put a lot of pressure on them or get a good review. But the government is never gonna. I work in the government in my day job too. They're never gonna admit they're wrong. The second they do that, that's like politically not going to happen.
Well,
right?
then they're like gonna have to. It's always about money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're gonna like, so that's never gonna happen. So I'm a big advocate into taking everything into our own hands. Like I don't really trust government solutions. That's why this podcast exists, because I'm like, okay, well, we can take it into our own hands, and I believe in that very deeply. So and it's gonna require a new generation of leadership that's gonna be needs to be different, like real leaders, and our culture raises real leaders. If you take a look, like leadership is one of my general interests. Like I read a lot about it. I think a lot about it. And I think that there are so many great leaders out there, Indigenous leaders out there. And the more leaders that we develop within our own communities, the stronger we're going to become. There's so many great leaders already, though. Like you can even just think about Beading, Lisa, right?
Yeah.
Right? Strongest leader ever, learned how to do it, took it to the whole next level. It takes that level of obsession and it takes that level of dedication, and that's what we're going to need, you know? So like one person is going to have to dedicate their entire life, and there are people that do this already. A lot of people are going to have to dedicate their entire life to figuring out how to change that system in a way that benefits the government. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
To think about, because they're the ones causing the problem.
That's true.
But it takes us getting in there to do it. And the only way to get into the government, into a position of power to do it, is to play their game long enough until you can fucking survive.
Yeah. No, that's true. You think I want to go to university right now?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like it's you know, to take that power back. You're right. Like you have to play by their games. You know, we see all these changes. Why did that happen? Indigenous lawyers, Indigenous politicians. You think that would happen without them? No way. We need leaders in every place, you know. I think that's, you know, I'm now the president of the Indigenous Student Society at UBC, and it's really incredible to see all the Indigenous leaders coming out. You talk to anyone, every single person is going to be bringing whatever knowledge that they have back to their community. Every single person I know. And that's powerful. It's just, it is unfortunate that, you know, we always, like you said, like we're doing all these things to work under the government. And it's like, how do we have our own sovereignty in this way that we can help our own nations survive, you know?
It's not beneficial for them to give us our own sovereignty. That would be, because if we have a voice at the table, that's not what they want.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. Like, like you can see it. Like, here's something I learned. Work in the healthcare industry. I hope this doesn't make it out there somewhere. I hope someone doesn't discover this. But every single time, like the board of a health authority in British Columbia or anywhere, is government selected, which means they're not voted in. So like the board, for those of you that don't know what a board does, essentially it's like they're supposed to be the subject matter experts. And if we had a company, like our board of directors at Our Storytellers is going to be like 7 Indigenous matriarchs from a bunch of different communities, because that's traditionally how we were set up. But each of those matriarchs are going to bring a different expertise and knowledge. Like one will be very ceremonial, one will probably be a lawyer, one will be, you know, each different subject matter expertise, all looking at the same problem of saving stories. and they each talk and discuss about these high level problems and find the single solutions that a leader executes. Me in this case, if it was Our Storytellers, executes for the good of the company and the good of the world, essentially. But every single time a new government gets in, they clear a board, they put their own people up there, so that way they have full control over whatever that authority does. And then that's the problem. And then so like that should be illegal, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know, because you should have the best doctors providing, or the best doctors, the best nurses, the best leaders that want to be on a board. And boards in private sector, they apply to be on the board. I pulled my needle out. Dang it.
You want me to thread it?
I'll try. The soup good?
It was really good. Yeah, thank you. I was so hungry.
No worries.
Like, we were just talking and I was like, oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I just ran out my house, today. Like,
that's all good.
I stayed up all last night. Low key, I've been playing. No, I feel.
What have you been playing? What have you been playing?
Like you're gonna judge me.
No, I won't judge you. What have you been playing? Minecraft?
No, I was actually playing WoW.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Throwback. Well, I mean, it's a throwback to me because I remember when WoW was. Okay, what class are you? Can I guess?
Okay, guys. Yeah.
What are they called? Dwarvens? What are they called?
Dwarf?
Yeah, dwarf.
A dwarf?
Yeah.
No. I give dwarf energy?
No, I don't know what the energy is. I've never played.
Yeah, no, it's I'm a Trottier.
What is that?
It's an alien.
Alien?
Yeah.
That's not bad. My buddy can't, literally says I can't play that game because it just turns into months. It turns into months and months and months. You grind some WoW. Who do you play with?
I play with my partner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we were raiding last night.
Good for y'all. Y'all live together?
We do. Yeah.
Cool.
We've been together almost 8 years.
Cool.
Yeah.
What does he do?
He's a computer science dude.
Nice.
So he does a lot of programming.
Nice. Cool. That's sick. And you guys live in East Van. That's fresh. Okay, yeah. We'll take that out of the podcast.
Yeah, he's Korean, So I learned Korean.
You got good Korean?
I can speak conversational Korean, yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's such a random fact, like no one expects from me. But yeah, I speak Korean.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Did he get you into WoW, or did
I have been, and I know nobody expects it from me, but I'm the biggest gamer. Like since I was a child. Yeah. And it's from Jackie. He's the biggest gamer. Like ever. And so we would just game together when I was a kid all the time. Like all the time. And so I grew up playing like RuneScape, Habbo Hotel.
Oh yeah.
Diablo.
Oh, Diablo is such a good game.
I love Diablo.
Habbo Hotel. I remember just going on there and just going to the nightclub, like whatever. Trying to so weird, trying to be what a weird game, honestly, that was, when I think back at it. I was had talking to strangers online, and I was like 9 years old. Like,
yeah, you were a child.
Yeah.
So, like, isn't that crazy to think about now?
Oh yeah, it's so wild.
Yeah. I had like a little room where I was called DJ Socks, and I would have like this really crappy radio and like a dollar store mic, and I would do like play the most randomest music ever that makes no sense. And so I'd do that a lot when I was 11 or 10 or something. Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, do you want to dedicate this podcast to anybody?
My mom.
Your mom?
Yeah, I love her a lot.
Shout out to your mom. Does your mom want to come
on? Sure. Maybe one day, yeah.
Sure.
she's done a lot of healing work. You know, we have a good relationship. I talk to my mom quite a bit. Probably one of the strongest people I know. Without her, I wouldn't have grown up with ceremony or being a proud Métis. She's really instilled that into me from a really young age. Yeah. Did you ever go through, okay, so I was a little shit as a kid, and like I'm very white passing.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't really think about it when I was a child.
Neither did I. Know exactly what you're about to ask, I think.
Yeah. And then once you started going to like elementary school, like for me anyway, I started feeling embarrassed of being Indigenous. Or I would tell people I was Métis, and I would always get met with like, and this is non-Indig don't really do that, but like, or sorry, Indigenous don't really like,
Indigenous people don't do that, yeah.
Do that, but non-Indigenous people always do this, especially growing up. They'd be like, well, you don't really look Indigenous, or no, you're lying, or just like things like this my whole life. Or I would get like, or I'd get the racist part where they're like, oh, okay, we always knew you're a dirty half-breed, or like shit like that growing up. I went through like a big phase where like I stopped like being proud of being Indigenous. Like I was so ashamed at one point that like, yeah, whenever my mom would teach me something, I'd be like, oh, stop teaching me that. Like, I don't care. I don't want to learn. Or like an elder would tell me something and I'd be like roll my eyes like a little shit ass. And now that I'm older, I'm just like, oh man, like I wish I paid more attention. Like I wish I didn't have like outside sources that affected me so much, you know? Yeah. So like, how was your experience, you know, growing up as a Métis person? Like, I'm curious.
Because I have blue eyes. I'm white skin, blue eyes.
Yeah. Like.
Okay. So it's so interesting because I didn't even, how do I put this? So I really didn't go, it never bothered me. I was going to ceremony my whole life. Like most of my, I never clicked to me till I was like 21 years old.
Yeah.
I just knew I was Native. I knew I went to ceremony. I knew who I was. I still know who I am today.
Yeah.
I never had anything like that. And I have, again, like I'm privileged. Like I have my dad, right? Who knows a lot about our family. And my grandfather was Indigenous veteran in the Second World War, Winnipeg Grenadiers. My grandmother is from the Prue family, the tightest family, and we had the traditional tight Métis family, like do not give up on each other. Like that was always a thing. One day I went to when my dad moved to Alberta because it's too expensive to live here. I went to a Sundance on the close to on the reserve that he lived close to at the time. And I was excited to go see a different Sundance because I didn't get to go. You know, when I went to university, my dad gave me the talk of like, you are going to go to university. You're going to learn these ways. Yeah. You cannot lose yourself. You are going to get separated from ceremony because you have to learn these ways. Yeah. So I had that whole spiel. Anyway, we're at this Sundance and I'm sitting down and to me, like I was just as equal as everybody else. And then one day this guy, like a guy goes up to my dad and says like, this is your son. And he's like, yeah, this is my son. And he goes, your son's Munyao.
Wow.
And like, why is your son Munyao? And he's like my dad defended me. He's like, yeah, his mom is white, like but he's everything as equal as anybody at the Sundance. He'll show that to you if you want. Like he defended me and challenged him. But I've never had that before. The reverse racism got me way more than anything. Yeah. Because like if anyone came up to me, like I had only a couple half-breed things, like making fun of me, and like I kind of own the word half-breed. Like I don't even care about that, you know. Like and I am pretty close to being fully half. Yeah. And And I just, like, nothing like that. Those were just fighting words. Like, I'll just fucking get you. if that's what that was. Because I was confident.
Yeah.
And, but that's what sent me down the spiral. The reverse racism affected me 10 times more. Because it was the first time in my life that I didn't feel like I deserved to be at ceremony.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's weird. Because, like, I did grow up with, like, and if you've ever actually lived on a reserve, like, you know this.
Yeah.
You know, kids do not get the same opportunity that I had, and I do have. And my parents sacrificed a lot to get me that.
Yeah.
And I think that reverse racism comes from, like, a place of insecurity most times. And but that sent me down a spiral, and I stopped going to ceremony. I stopped it completely. I stopped believing. I do now, but back in the day, like, it was prayers every day. Like, I pray every day before I start my day. And I stopped all that. I said, okay, well, if you're going to think of me as colonized, then I'm going to be the best. I'm going to learn those ways so well then. And I did, and I do. Like, so that's what sent me down the identity. And actually, the podcast was sent to me by Creator because to reconnect me, so I can do things like this, and so I can speak to people. And anyone that's legit, like that guy was giving my dad a hard time, I guess, or something like that. But like, we've had Marie Smallboy on the podcast, and who's taught me a lot. She never spoke to me any differently. She spoke to me just like her son.
Oh.
And she's from, like, the Smallboy family has a really interesting story. But
Yeah.
P. Sim Smallboy, who is an Indigenous artist, he lives here in Vancouver, actually. I
went to school with him.
P. Sim?
Langara, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. For business, then, is what he was going through it for, I think.
Yeah.
He was like, man, just own that word. He was like, there's no difference between you. He calls me today. Like, most people do not care about the reverse racism stuff whatsoever.
Yeah.
But that's what got me. And, like, if you think I'm not proud to be Métis, like, you have something else coming. You know, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the fact that, like there's all this talk about, like, Canada 51st state, and I'm like, fucking try me. like go for it. Like, go for it, man. Like, I'm not scared of it. I'm not scared of any of that.
Yeah.
I really am not. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, that doesn't super answer the question, I guess, but that's just a little bit of what I went through. I'm not scared of confrontation like that. Like, you think, like, if you really believe in the ancestors, if you really believe in the Creator, you know that all 4 spots of that medicine wheel were put here on this earth for a reason. That's why, like, Jimbo was like, I don't know if I'm the right guy. Jimbo's Chinese.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the right guy to do this. I'm like, if not you, then who? Right?
That's true.
So I don't know. I was protected and I was shielded from a lot of stuff, and that's why I have so much. That's why I have such a responsibility to give back.
Yeah. That's just the Métis way, though, you know? You always give back to community. That's the Indig way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And your life is better when it's like when you live this way.
Yeah.
Your life is better when you live this way, because you actually have a purpose. And we're here in this experience to learn, and
yeah.
I know what I was sent here to do. Like, that's the thing. I just feel like because I was raised in such deep connection, like, I have unbeatable faith. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen to me? Die? All of our people, 100, like, most of the family starved. You think I'm fucking scared of dying? Like, not really, you know? Not anymore, anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's, I'm glad that, you know, you're proud for right now, you know? Métis pride. Our people went through so much to not be proud. You know, we wouldn't be here if our ancestors weren't so resilient, and, like, we're literally their dreams, You know, I gave you a sticker with Louis Riel, and he said, oh, sorry, one sec, brain fog.
With the artist
Yeah.
return?
My people will sleep for 100 years, and it'll be the artists that give their spirits back.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I love that so much, because art will give it back. Like, talking stories, these sort of things, this gives life back into our people. Yeah, so be proud.
The colonizer wants what we have more than what we want what they have.
Well, you know, the spicy topic too.
Yeah. No, I truly believe that. Like when
Yeah.
you can take any example. Like I see it all the time because I live in their world, but like think about here's an example, like cold baths. Oh my gosh, cold dip, big therapy, blah blah blah. It's like go read like Chief Cotzolano's book from this place, and he says like cold water baths give you power, and that's traditional knowledge, that's way back, you know?
Yeah.
Like you got to figure that out now after you studied it. We could have told you that a long time ago.
Yeah.
We talk about project management. Everybody talks about like this thing called Scrum methodology. Have you heard of this?
No.
Scrum methodology is a circular approach to project management where you iterate and iterate and iterate and iterate and try and try and try and try. It's like, oh my gosh, like have you ever seen us make anything?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm on the wrong side. I'm losing it.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. No, but like anything like that. Like they want what we have right now.
Yeah.
Like they're tired of not being connected to who they are as humans. Like they forgot the whole human experience out the window. You think you're designed to sit at a computer all day? Like probably not. I think that there is always space for technology. We loved their technology.
Yeah.
We loved guns. We loved all that stuff. We loved to
Yeah.
trade. We loved trade. Beads. We love trade.
Yeah.
You know, we're more alike than we are different. And I think that they're starting to wake up and see that a little bit too.
You know, and you don't have to keep this in the podcast if you want, but I have a theory about what's actually going on with like pretendians right now. I think so, and I really thought about it. Like I've spent, and if you've watched my TikTok, I've talked a bajillion years about this. I really sat down and thought about why is this happening? And it can't just be about financial gain. There's more to it. And so the way I was thinking about is how, and keep in mind my brain is very like psych, just a psych major girly, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, basically what Western psych classifies our cultures as is collectivists. And what they categorize, you know, white people culture right now is individualistic. And in my humble opinion, the way, or in my one of my cultural psych classes, we talked about how we deal with problems and how your thought processes change depending on the culture that you're from. And so for us, for example, you're beading. Let's say you're not the best beater, but you want to get better.
Don't say that to me.
No.
I'm just kidding.
You're good at beating. You're good. I'm just saying.
I am not the best beater. Yeah, I want to get better. Yeah. Okay, keep going.
So in this moment, you're thinking, I'm problem solving. I'm going to do this. The more practice, the better I'll get. In a lot of collectivist culture, this thought process is common. However, in individualistic cultures, let's say I'm bad at beading. Well, I'm innately bad. I'll never be good because I won't practice, and I won't be better because I just don't have the talent to be good. And this is the different thought process that they've found in psych, is how these two cultures deal with different types of issues. Furthermore, you know, the most biggest thing is collectivist cultures. We care about community. We care about taking care of each other. Community comes first. You were always talking about community. Individualistic cultures care about the individual. Now, in my opinion, this says happened because of Europeans at one point had an indigenous culture at one point, which was like, if we look at, Norwegians, right? They had the Norwegian gods. They had Odin and Diana and Freya, and all these different gods represented connection to earth and connection with waters and connection with your environment. And when colonization happened, it took over Europe. It took away those connections to those specific cultures. And when it came down here, now we're in contemporary society. A lot of people that came down to Canada that were colonizers or settlers, their cultures slowly went away. They stopped speaking their languages, if they were French or I guess Scottish or Irish or whatever. And English started being the main focus, or French, depending where you are. But you stopped speaking your language, and then you stopped practicing the cultures from those countries. And the only thing that rooted Canadians together at that time was either Christianity or Catholicism. Nowadays, we don't have as much as a strong pull to Christianity and Catholicism in just modern day. And so we're seeing a lot of people that are very lonely. They don't have their languages. They don't have cultures to go back to. And in my opinion, I think what's happening is these individuals are extremely lonely, and they see our collectivist culture. They're seeing how we care for each other, our community, and they want to be part of it. And so this is kind of why I think people are taking on different identities. It's not just Indigenous, right? We have people that are like Koreans or Japanese or all these different cultures. These people are so desperate for that connection that they're trying to find it anywhere that they can. And so I think that's what's happening to like pretendians. Like, of course, there's some maybe beneficial gain. I also think they're looking for connection and community, and then also white guilt. But yeah, so I think it's a big part to do with the whole pretending issue. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, from your, like, I think that makes total sense. Like, yeah. They're missing, like, they miss out, I don't wake up every single day and think about money,
Yeah.
like not because, like, not think about, like, I need to make it to live in this system, but like, if this was 200 years ago, I would wake up and think about chasing bison with the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't, and that's what they're missing. Like, they don't have culture. They don't have ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I read the Bible sometimes, and when I read it, I'm like, this is pretty close. Like, Jesus was talking some stuff. There's also some weird stuff in there, but like that's pretty close,
Yeah.
And like, I think that they're just missing that part of themselves. Like, they essentially colonization denies parts of your human experience.
Yeah.
I feel like. And yeah, I think that they see a collective community and they want a part of that, and that's And the thing is that they could be themselves and we would accept them anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, you could be from Mexico, or Mexico people are like mostly indigenous too, but like, you can be from France today, and if they came and sat down with us right now, we would still teach them to bead.
Yeah.
There's no difference. Like, but I think that their worldview creates a artificial barrier in their own mind, Yeah. And like, some people, like some of the old people are like, they're like, of our own communities, like, they're damaged too. Like, they're like, they're like, no sharing, like keep it in the family or yada yada, right? But I couldn't agree more. I don't see, Like, I don't get angry at pretendians. I don't let it bother my mind. Like, I think it might be a little bit different for me because, we are Métis and we never, like, there wasn't really much resources for us anyway to begin with. You know what I mean?
No one cared about us.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter really. So like,
Yeah.
so like I have student loans, I have all that stuff, and
Yeah.
we move forward anyway. But that was always our culture too. I don't know. Couldn't agree more. What do you think? I think the saddest part, though, just to wrap that up, is that they just forgot to be themselves somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
And I think that, okay, you know what bugs me the most about working in the government is that my conversation goes the same way every single day. We wake up, show up. It's like, hey, weather today, blah, blah, blah. It was great. Like, I do love the weather. Trust me. Don't get me wrong. But, like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, what's your background? Why do you think this way? Whereas they're always in constant defense mode of being like, I don't want to look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Well, what? Trust me. My father, my aunts, everybody has consistently made me look like an idiot for my entire life. I am used to that. You know what I mean? And that's okay. Because we're the same.
Yeah.
Whereas like they have like the status thing, whatever, but our status is determined by how much we give back to our community, which is like way more fun.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So they miss all that. They also forgot their creation story, and I think that's a big problem too.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah, it's complicated. I'm going through the motions on when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's
when you get a bad TikTok comment, what do you think? Because I get them all the time. I don't care.
Oh, well, sometimes I delete. Okay, it depends. So if it's about me directly, I ignore because I really don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. But when it's about my community, then, or it's like just misinformation about something, then I will respond. But yeah, I'm not sure. Bad comments depends who it's from too. Like if it's a munyao, like I don't really care too much. But if it's from like another Indigenous person, I think it hurts the most. If it's negative comments,
The words hurts way more.
yeah. There's a lot of Métis hate, especially online.
I feel like some of us kind of deserved it. Did you go to the AGM, MMBC?
Not recently. No.
So at the last one,
Yeah.
day one, opener, they're taking questions from the community, whatever.
Yeah.
This person stands up and goes, there are more Métis people in British Columbia than there are natural Indigenous people. Therefore, we have more right to claim land. And the elder steps up.
Whoa.
Nobody says anything. An elder steps up eventually and goes, yeah, we're not actually from here. Yeah, like, and it's like,
yeah, what the heck?
And it's like, no. So like, there's bad there's bad eggs everywhere. I think that we forgot that there's bad eggs everywhere.
That's crazy.
Imagine standing up and saying that.
That is crazy.
That's why I'm so passionate about having the local community on this podcast as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Local communities, I should say. And the people out here, they were rich, Faith.
Yeah.
Rich. They had potlatches. They had unlimited food. Every fall, millions of salmon will fly up here. They would get together, party, have some food. Sure, they fought each other every once in a while. Who didn't?
Yeah.
There's lots of people I like to fight.
Yeah, that's true. I fight my brother all the time.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like nobody, like we have some bad Métis people too.
We have a lot of bad apples.
Yeah, totally. But
yeah, I think it's important too, especially in BC. Like we're guests here.
Oh,
Or,
yeah.
and people forget this. And that's also the question and critique I had for MMBC too, was, like they'll do every once in a while, they used to do like a lot of youth events, or they'd be at hotels. They'd be at like fancy hotels instead of being like in an Indigenous community or supporting an Indigenous run business. It'd rather be, instead of building relationships with people, they would just ignore them, And like I grew up down here in the West Coast, and I never thought that I was different. I've always been treated with love and openness and always welcomed. Like I never experienced lateral violence till university. And it really hurts my heart to see like deals that MMBC has made.
I'm so happy you're bringing this up because I totally feel the exact same way.
Yeah. We've kind of
have lost what it means to be Métis.
Yeah. And it's really, and you feel it. Sometimes you'll go into a Métis space. I'll feel awkward. Sometimes it's like, at least here in BC, never at Batoche. Batoche is good vibes. But,
Sorta. It is good vibes today. Maybe a couple hundred years ago, not as good.
Oh, yeah. Back to Batoche is a big Métis festival. It's like a Métis Coachella. Okay.
That's hilarious.
Okay. I'm not talking about when we were doing the resistance, Yeah, no, it's I feel like too, this is kind of controversial though. I don't know.
No, it's fine. We can talk. We can be critical of our own people. It was encouraged, just so you know, we would have meetings for days. I'm looking at you right now. Look, yeah. We would have meetings for days. Everybody got to share their piece, and everybody's truth was acknowledged. And that's what this podcast is here to do. Please go ahead.
Okay.
If you're comfortable to share it, you can share it. If not, no big deal.
Yeah, I've found when I would go to Métis events, I'll share a certain event. My godmother, my Auntie Elma, she raised me basically with my mom, and I would never be here without my Auntie Elma. I love her a lot, and so I grew up with her culture. I grew up singing her songs from her community, and she wanted to learn more about the Métis. So we had a Métis rendezvous somewhere on the island a couple of years ago. And I drove all the way to Lillooet to pick her up and drove her all the way to the island. And we were going to go together, and she was going to learn about the Métis. And when we were there, it was like horrible vibes. The way people were looking at my auntie, kind of looking at her like she's not welcomed. When we're sitting down, someone like looked at her and was like, "Where are you from?" to her. And it was just a horrible experience. Just the way Métis people, we're supposed to come in every shade of Bannock, And colorism is real, especially in BC, and just thinking about it, like if my kokum was with me, like how she would be treated, Anyways, we left early. We didn't stay for the full thing. We went and spent the day just having fun together. But it says a lot when it's supposed to be a Métis event and community, and the only visibly brown person is getting stared at or like basically not welcomed. I have a cousin, my cousin Laura, she's spoken about the same thing. She doesn't go to MMBC events because of this. And it's just like, for me and my family, the way we experienced our colonization, or, we were really fucked up. and my family's still fucked up, and my brother's messed up, and I've tried to heal, and I feel like I'm in a good spot, but I wasn't always this way. I was really fucked up at one point too. And I'll go to these events, and they'll always be catered to, and please take this lightly, because I'm glad that people are returning home, but it's always catered to reconnecting. And it's important, I agree, but there's no services for people that like are going through it. There's no services for Métis that were road allowance families. There's no services for people's parents or grandparents that went to day school. And especially, there's no services for kids in care. So it's just like, I go to these events and I feel a little bitter and a little angry because I want people to, I want to relate with my people. But the people there, they don't understand what it's like to grow up Indigenous. They don't understand what it's like to experience all of this. And I'm not taking away from their indigeneity in that way, because I think it's important that they're coming back home. But when all this space is going to reconnecting, what happens to those of us that are still going through the system? You know? And that's kind of where my thought processes go for MMBC sometimes. Sometimes it's very calculative. You know, it's like, I will schedule you in a month.
It's corporate.
It's very corporate. You go to Surrey, the headquarters. It's a skyrise. Like, what is that?
It's a brand new skyrise.
Yeah, it's modern. It's like, what the hell? And then I was talking to someone, and they were like, you can't even smudge there, though.
Yeah, true.
You can't even smudge in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of my critique. Don't get me wrong, though. Like, I've met some incredible people. Like, I've met Lisa. She is such a beautiful person, you know. And I have worked with some people in the ministry where they've asked me about my own experiences being in care. And I can tell that people have heart. But it's just like, it's hard when I see big bougie conferences happening consistently, and then I look at the youth that don't have, I don't think there's been like any youth programs for like 2 years, and our youth are treated like nothing. And then our like regular citizens aren't, like, if you're not part of a board or you're not like actively part of a chartered community, you're just left out of the loop. You have no idea what's going on. You don't know how to connect. Yeah.
I think that's like completely fine critique, and just so MMBC knows, when they hear this, they're always welcome to come on and talk about it. But I think what I'm hearing from you, Faith, is that our priorities are just in the wrong spot, unfortunately. And we do have to do more to help the actual people, and that's always been my critique. I think, like, that was a good rant.
Sorry.
No, that was good. That was good.
My big tangent.
No, that was good. I think, like,
don't kill me, MMBC. I love you.
No.
I'm gonna get funding from you.
and you guys, and just so everyone at MMBC knows, like, I think everybody's heart is in the right place. I think there's stuff I'd be curious to see. I feel like I know that they have the STEPS program.
Yeah.
Like, I know that they have, I don't know what kind of support from, like, it's all about reconnecting, and I think that is definitely one of the priorities, but I also think that just taking care of the people is kind of what we're here to do.
Yeah.
And from the outside looking in, this is just a perspective in my opinion, for the outside looking in, it just kind of seems like the BC government just loves us because, you know, we interact in a business fashion. That's what it seems like to me anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
we're definitely very corporate.
For sure. And you know what? Like, it's always been a Métis thing to trade and to love business. And that's always been a thing. Like, really, for real. We would keep count of our trades on our sashes with beads.
That's true, yeah.
Like, that's part of us too. I think there's spot for us. I also think it's the world that we live in today, and to deny that would be a mistake. But we do have to get back to the way that Creator intended us to live, which includes smudging. You know, they do have some cool stuff in that office, though.
What kind of stuff have you seen?
I just have some cool art. I think I don't remember off the top of my head. I remember it being super nice, like where I work and what they do is really they're pretty tight, you know, and they do their best, I think, and I think that they're also subjected, like taking MMBC's perspective, they're also working with the same province.
Do you work with MMBC?
No.
Okay, I was like, oh wait, oh shit.
No. I don't. And you know what? I'm a citizen. I'm allowed to be critical.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And that's right. And it's always been that way.
Yeah.
When we decided if we were going to kill a bunch of people at a fort, we all sat around and talked in negative 40-degree weather in that winter and voted. And that's how we've always done it. Because that was our way. We always talked it out.
That's true.
So I'm not nervous or anything like that about, and I think that there are Métis people here that do need support.
Yeah.
I also would love to see how they check.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand that fully, but I would love to see that too. But every single organization, Our Storytellers, is going to come under scrutiny eventually one day too. It's just how it goes. And
well, I've definitely, I have my TikTok.
Yeah. Shameless plug. You should also talk about your website.
Oh, yes. I do have a website. I sell fun little art stickers that I make and draw and create myself. And my TikTok, I usually discuss Métis politics. I'll share my art, my music, all that. And
I think we can wrap this up, Faith. I mean, this is as far as I got. Not bad for my first time.
Not bad at all.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and teaching me. And we really got warmed up there once I started going. I feel like we got warmed up.
Yeah.
And you're more than welcome to come on whenever you'd like and talk and share. Like, this is your podcast studio too. And even if you ever wanted to come on and talk to somebody else on here, like, you're more than welcome to. It's open for everybody. And
thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, no, I'm happy being here and meeting you and having these conversations. It's been pretty fun. Yeah.
Well, till next time.
Boom.
Boom.
Kwapamitin.
Hi, my relatives. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Our Storytellers with my friend Faith. Faith, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and teaching me how to bead. It was a blast. I had so much fun. I hope I can find time between my day job and this podcast to actually be able to bead. I know my mom would be proud of me if I could. So, thank you so much for coming on. If you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe. Share it with a friend. Follow us on Spotify. Share the podcast. Watch the other content. I feel like we're kind of getting a good bank of content to be able to explore. So, just explore what you're curious about. And, Keenan Askaman, I'm so grateful for you. All my relations, Riel.